What is markup and how it is different from margin? Accounting students very often got confused with the two terminologies. In this video, I'm going to explain the two concepts with examples, their formula, and how we can apply this concept to different scenarios. Before I explain the two terms, let me begin by saying that both markup and margin are expressions of the profit, but in two different ways. Markup is a percentage of profit on cost. So here you can look at the formula. If I subtract cost from the sales, I got profit, and if I divide this profit by cost and multiply this by 100, we got the markup percentage. Whereas margin is the percentage of profit on sales price. So if you again look at the formula, if I subtract cost from the sales, I got the profit, and if I divide profit by sales and multiply by 100, I got the margin percentage. So that's the basic concept. Markup and margin are two different expressions of the profit percentages. Markup is the percentage of profit on cost, whereas margin is the percentage of profit on sales price. Now let me explain this again with one example. Now in this example, the cost of the product is $100, whereas the selling price is $125. So if I calculate the markup, then I will take the selling price, which is $125. I will subtract the cost, and I will divide it by cost again and multiply by 100. So if I do it, what I will get is 25%, and that is the percentage of markup because I'm explaining the profit in relation to the cost. Now if we do it again, and if we continue the same example and calculate the margin, then once again I took the selling price and I took away the cost, and this time I'm dividing it by the selling price and multiply by 100, and what I'm getting is 20%. So although profit is the same, because profit here is the difference between sales price and cost, and in terms of amount it is the same amount, 125 minus 100, and that is $25. So profit is $25 in the same example, but when I express this profit as a percentage of cost, that is 25%. And when I express the same profit as a percentage of sales price, it becomes 20%. So markup is 25%, margin is 20%, and we can say that 25% markup equals to 20% margin, or 20% margin equals 25% markup. So it's a different expression of the profit percentage. So now let's talk about the application of the concept of markup and margin. These concepts are widely used in cost and management accounting while doing costing and pricing. There are various ways we can apply these concepts, but I will be using the equation S is equal to C plus P, where S is the sales price, C is the cost, and P is the profit. The problem in exam may pose you the following scenarios, which are described as cases below. Whatever is the scenario, you can apply this equation and the concept of markup and margin to find out what is required. So let's discuss these cases one by one. Case 1 and 2 are quite simple, whereas case 3 and 4 requires some further understanding. So what is in case 1? In case 1, we're given the cost, that is 100, we're given the markup, and we're required to calculate the sales price. So we'll use the equation S equals C plus P. We're required to calculate sales price, we are given cost, and we are given the percentage of markup. Now that is 25%, which is 0.25. Now we know that markup is a percentage of profit and cost. Cost is 100. So in that manner, we will calculate the selling price, and that is 125. Now in case 2, we're given the selling price and we're given the margin and we're required to calculate the cost. So we will use the same equation and we can just modify it to calculate the cost. So if S is equal to C plus P, then C is equal to S minus P, and now we're given the selling price and we're given the profit margin, which is 20%, and we know that this is 20% of selling price, so we'll put the selling price here. And if I do the further calculation, then this is 125 minus 25. So in that manner, our cost is 100. Now these two cases are simple because we're given markup and that is a percentage of cost, and cost is given, so we can apply straight away. And in case 2, we're given margin and that is a percentage of selling price, and we are given the selling price, so we can straight away apply that and find out the cost and price. Now case 3 and case 4, the information is not direct. Now for example, in case 3, we are given the cost and we're given the margin and we're required to calculate the selling price. So we use the equation again, S is equal to C plus P. We are required to calculate the selling price. We are given the cost, but this time we are given a margin, and that margin is 20%, and that is not 20% of cost, so we cannot take 100 here. That is the percentage of sales price, and sales price is unknown. So what I can do is I can put a variable here, so I will put S here. Now if we solve for S, this is S minus 0.2S equals 100 and 0.80S equals 100, and S equals 100 divided by 0.8, and that will become 125. Now in case 4, we're given the selling price and we're given the markup and we're required to calculate the cost. So I will use the equation again. S is equal to C plus P. Selling price is given, so I will put it here. Cost is unknown, so I will just write C. We can replace this with X or Y, but we denote it by C. Now markup is 25%, and this markup we know conceptually is a percentage of cost. Now cost is unknown, so we will represent cost here as C. So if I solve for this, then this is 125 equals 1.25 C, and C equals 125 divided by 1.25, and that equals 100. So you see, I have applied this equation and the concept of markup and margin to 4 different cases. Now in exam, your question could be as simple as case 1 and case 2, where we are straight away applying the percentages to the amounts, and your information could be as complex as case 3 and 4, where you are given margin but then you're not given the sales price, and you're given markup and you're not given the cost. But still we can apply the equation. Whatever is unknown, we can take it as a variable, and then we can solve for that variable in order to find what is required. So this is the application of the concept of markup and margin. Now there is another way we can solve this problem, and that is to convert the percentage of markup to margin, or from margin to markup. So there are certain formulas for that, and in order to convert markup to margin, there is a formula, that is percentage over 100 plus percentage multiplied by 100. So for example, let's say there is a markup of 25%. So what I will do is I will take 25 and I will divide it by 100 plus 25, and then I will multiply by 100, and that will be converted into margin. So that is converted into 20% margin. So we're just playing with numbers. Numbers are the same. Okay, now if I want to convert margin to markup, then there is a formula, and that is percentage over 100 minus percentage times 100. So for example, if margin is 20%, then we take 20 and we will take 100 minus 20 times 100, and that is 20 by 80 times 100, and that becomes 25%. So a margin of 20%, we convert it into markup of 25%. So if we can do this, and sometimes this is also asked as a multiple choice question, that 25% markup equals to how much percentage of margin, or that much percentage of margin equals to how much percentage of markup. So this is this we need to also learn so that we can respond to those questions. And if we can make such conversions, then we can simplify our case 3 and case 4, because if I am given margin and I can convert it into markup, then I can simply apply that to the cost. And if I'm given markup and I can convert it into margin, then I can simply apply to the selling price. So so this is another way to solve this problem. But over the period of time, me as well as my student found that putting everything into this equation and then applying the concept in the logical manner solves all the problems. So I hope from now onwards you are much clear about the concept of markup and margin.